What is up, you guys? This is Mini Superheroes Today, and we have made it to the Avengers Endgame LEGO Custom Minifigure Showcase. Now, these figures you're seeing before you have all been made using 100% official LEGO pieces, and in today's video, we have over 100 custom minifigures like you're seeing here. Now, obviously, I couldn't fit them all in right here, right now, but this is just a nice little assortment to show you a little bit of what's coming, so sit back and relax, guys. This is going to be a really fun video showing you how to make literally every single character that appeared in Avengers Endgame. I hope you guys enjoy it. Hit the thumbs up and the subscribe button before you jump into the video here, and I'll catch you guys at the end, because we've got over an hour's worth of custom minifigures coming your way, starting right now. So the version of Tony that I'm showing you here is the version just when he gets back from space. And to build this, you'll just need some black legs at the bottom, the torso with the arc reactor from Iron Man 3, some regular bare arms, you can get those in many places, and then the head from the poly bag of the Silver Centurion Iron Man figure works really well, because with the scars and bruises around his eye there, it just really looks like he's been through a crazy fight with Thanos and then spent some time being dehydrated and almost oxygen deprived in the shuttle with Nebula. So I really like that head to make him look tired and worn out. And then the hair, of course, is from several Tony Stark figures from iterations past. It's just that brown spiky hair that we've gotten on Hawkeye and things like that. But excuse me, it's black hair. I said brown hair, but this is black, as you can see. So yeah, you'll just want to get some black spiky hair, and that'll build the famished version of Tony from Endgame. Next up is Steve Rogers, and one of the things about Steve, when he's just in his casual suit here toward the beginning of the movie, is, of course, he's shaved his beard, so the head that I used is from Sam Flynn from the Tron set. The hair is from the regular Captain America. I gave him some blue legs here, dark blue legs to show jeans, but the torso is actually what I want to focus in on. So you can see I just use a plain gray torso, which sadly is kind of drab, but I actually have a better suggestion. This torso from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom from Owen Grady actually looks exactly like what Steve is wearing in the movie, with kind of that like open button top shirt thing going on. But sadly, I don't have that figure. I don't really have a ton of the Jurassic World figures. I wish I had that one though, because that would be a pretty nice addition here, but in any case, I would actually recommend using that torso, but if you don't have that, like me, I just used this regular gray torso because it's as close as you could get without having that Owen Grady torso. Here we've got casual Scott Lang, and I gave him some dark blue legs, and I'm not crazy about it, but Scott does wear jeans when he's at the compound in the movie, so the jeans do need to match the top, but the thing I don't like is, you know, the top jacket he's wearing is also dark blue, so I don't know, I just would rather have some like color variation like gray legs, but to be movie accurate, this is technically more accurate. So I used some dark blue legs. I used the torso from a character named Vern from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie line of sets. Then I used Poe Dameron's head so that it looks like Paul Rudd with a little 5 o'clock shadow going on. And then I used this hair from Peter Parker from Spider-Man Far From Home, but it's just the swoopy Superman hair in dark brown. It's come in other places, but if we're all Marvel collectors here, probably the easiest place to get it these days is from the Far From Home Spider-Man set, the Venice set, if we're being most specific. Here we've got casual Hawkeye, aka Ronin, and this is semi-purist, but there's one piece that isn't purist, and I'm sure you can guess it's the hair piece up top here. But anyways, we've got some dark blue legs to show he's got jeans on. We've got this hoodie torso, which has come in a bazillion and a half places, so you can get that in lots of places. Then I used the Hawkeye head from Age of Ultron, and the hair is actually Phil Coulson's hair, so you can see it side by side. It's got the same part and everything, but I used a nail file to file down the sides of the hair to take it off to show that Hawkeye has a mohawk. Now on Instagram, I've gotten lots of people that say they don't like this, but here's the thing about Lego, guys. You have to do what you like, not what other people like. Of course, you want your purist customs to look as good as they can, but, you know, I'm happy with this custom, and if other people aren't happy with it, that's on them, because I like the way it looks, and at the end of the day, you should always try to make yourself a little happier than you were the day before. Here we've got casual Rhodey, and I like the way that this one turned out, so I used the legs. These are just standard gray legs, but the hips are actually from Owen Grady from Jurassic World, because you get that nice brown belt going across. I think that that's a really nice look, kind of reminds me of something Rhodey would wear. hair. The torso is from Bruce Banner from Thor Ragnarok, but I switched it out with some brown hands to complement the head that I used, which of course is from the Bricktober pack Rhodey, but it's also from Endgame. That works just as well. And then I used the hair from Percival Graves to show that he's got black hair with a little bit of gray hair on the sides because, well, Rhodey's going gray a little bit. So that is my Rhodey custom, and I really like the way that this turned out. It really does look like Don Cheadle, don't you agree? Next up is Carol Danvers, and something interesting about this figure is I actually made this figure when the first Endgame trailer came out, where we saw her in the compound, but it was hard to tell from that trailer, but you can tell in the movie that she's actually wearing the bottom part of her Captain Marvel suit when she's hanging out at the Avengers compound. So I gave her the legs from Spider-Man Homecoming, also Far From Home, that have the red boots on the bottom and blue on top, because that's what I use for my regular Captain Marvel custom. I kind of do that thing there. So I think that that looks pretty good. Then I used the torso from Mary Jane from the Spider-Man sets from a few years back, and this is the hair from Elizabeth Swann, but the nice thing is that when you put the Elizabeth Swann hair on, it actually perfectly covers up the Spider-Man heart, so you would never know that it was Mary Jane. So the arms and hands are also from Mary Jane. Like I said, the hair is from Elizabeth Swann, and the face is just from regular old Captain Marvel. So this isn't a particularly difficult custom to make, and truthfully, if you didn't have the Mary Jane torso, you could always just use a black torso as long as it looked pretty plain and didn't have too much printing on it, because it's, at the end of the day, it's just a black tank top that she's wearing. And here we've got casual Black Widow from the compound, which I think actually turned out pretty accurate. So the legs are just plain black legs, the arms are bare arms, as she's wearing a tank top in the movie, and then the torso is actually from Lego Dimensions from this Adventure Time character, but I don't watch Adventure Time, so I don't know the character's name. I'm sure you guys will let me know in the comments below. But the head is from Endgame Black Widow, and then the hair is actually from the Mini Dolls version of Poison Ivy, but I used the eraser method to take off the leaves on the front of her hair, but actually I think it looks pretty accurate. So like I said, I'm really happy with the way that this one turned out, and that's Black Widow. And here we've got the mighty god of thunder, Thor, and I gave him some dark blue legs. I used this torso from Claire Dearing from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but I used the eraser method on the sides here to take off some of the curves right by her stomach, just so that it made the torso look a little bit more thick and manly. But anyways, I really like that green jacket. It looks a lot like what Thor was wearing at the Avengers compound. I used the old trick here of building Stormbreaker with a brown pole, the inverted lightsaber handle thing, a 1x1 stud, 1x1 round piece here with a little reflectiveness on it, and then using the little clip for the battle axe part. And then the face is from Aquaman from the Lego DC sets, and the hair is from Thor from Ragnarok, from Endgame, and from Infinity War. So all in all, this is a pretty simple custom to make, but I really like the way that it turned out, and it's one of the only scenes that we have Thor for where he's not obese and immensely overweight, so I think it's pretty cool to have this version of Thor. So here we have Captain America in his stealth suit from the Winter Soldier. So at the bottom, we've got these legs which are dual molded with black boots on the bottom and blue on top, using the eraser method to take off some printing on this side, and those legs come from one of the cops from the Lego Batman accessory pack from the Lego Batman movie. The torso is from a character called Elgor from Legends of Chima, and I really like how it almost has that exact Winter Soldier design on there from his stealth suit from that movie with the wings on the side. It looks really good. We've got this belt down here. It is the perfect match. Then you'll need to add some blue arms and dark brown gloves, which you can get from the Infinity War Captain America. You can get the hair from Infinity War Cap as well, and then the face is from Sam Flynn from the Lego Tron Legacy set. And here's Thor from the beginning of the movie. The legs are from Sam Flynn from the Lego Tron Legacy set. The torso is from Thor Avengers Infinity War version. I gave him these gunmetal gray arms with some tan hands. Then I gave him my Stormbreaker, which I'll show you here in a minute. The cape is from Jafar from the new Lego Disney collectible minifigure series, because you've got red on the back, black on the front. That looks really good. And then the face and hair are from Thor from either Endgame, Infinity War or from Thor Ragnarok. So there's lots of places to get that head-hair combo. And then, of course, Stormbreaker is my design, which I built here using this brown pole, using this kind of inverted lightsaber hilt thing. And then you've got a 1x1 stud with a 1x1 flat piece that has some reflective printing on the top there, which looks pretty good. And then just this axe piece with a clip to put it all on there, and then you'll have Thor from the beginning of Avengers Endgame. Here we've got Bruce Banner, and I do think that you could probably just use his Ragnarok version, but I wanted to give you guys some options in any case. So we've got these black legs here, we've got the torso from the Scientist from Lego Jurassic World, we've got Bruce Banner's head, and then the black hair for Tony Stark that we've seen before, but also really Superman is where this hair most commonly appears in. Next up, we've got Captain Marvel, and this is such a fun figure. I really love this, and I'm realizing now that I actually messed this figure up based on what I wanted to do. So the arms that I meant to put on there are from the Iron Spider from the Lego Infinity War sets. I just really like that red and gold printing on there, so you could just use your imagination. But the legs are from the Lego Spider-Man Homecoming figure. The torso is, of course, from Captain Marvel from her movie set and from Endgame. The head is from Captain Marvel from those two sets as well. And the hair is from Scarlet Witch from Captain America Civil War. Next up is Nebula, and I used her head from the Avengers Endgame suit. I used her arm from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and then the legs, this arm, and the torso are from Star-Lord from the first Guardians of the Galaxy wave of sets. Next up is Black Widow, who at the beginning of Endgame still kind of has her Infinity War look going on, because it's just a few days after Infinity War took place. But in any case, I used the torso and arms from Infinity War Black Widow. I used the hips from Civil War Hawkeye, and then I used the legs from Electro from the Amazing Spider-Man 2 Polybag, which was a Toys R Us exclusive way back. Then, of course, the head and hair are from Widow from Infinity War, and that's how you build my version of this figure. Next up is Rocket Raccoon, and to build this figure, I used the legs here, the tail, and the head from the Rocket Raccoon Polybag from Toys R Us a few years back. I thought that that was pretty cool. And then the torso that I used is from Bucky from the Lego Avengers Infinity War Bricktober pack. Love the look of that torso, with some gray hands on there from another Rocket Raccoon figure, some dark blue arms, and then on the head here, you can see that I put the goggles on there, and what I did is I took some blue sticky tack, which you can get at like an office supply store, and I stuck it to the side of his head. So these will come off, they're not permanent, and while it's not 100% purist, it is a good little cheat way to get those goggles on his head, and I really like the way that it turned out. Next up was War Machine, and of course, I just used the War Machine from the Lego Avengers Infinity War Bricktober pack. Nothing to update there because the figure looked so great straight out of the box. Now we're looking at Farmer Thanos, which is a really fun take on the character. I really like the way that it looks. So I gave him just a plain gray torso here, but when I flipped it around, you can see that this is Doc Ock from the old Tobey Maguire Spider-Man sets, and you don't have to use that. The only reason I did is it was the quickest access I had to a plain gray torso. Then I gave him a black arm to show that the Infinity Gauntlet being used in Infinity War actually like burnt his arm. The head is from the Umbaran Trooper from Lego Star Wars The Clone Wars. Just the arm is from Ursula from the Lego Disney Collectible Minifigure Series 1. The hand is from Thanos from the Mighty Micros Marvel sets. And then the legs are from Batman from the DCEU. So the accessory that she comes with is the helmet from the Iron Legion figure, because I used that same helmet to build Rescue, aka Pepper Potts. You can check that tutorial out right here. And then for the rest of the figure, I just added brown long hair to the Lex Murphy figure from the Lego Jurassic Park set. Here we've got Pepper Potts, and I didn't do any upgrades here from the Iron Man 3 version because there's not really an outfit that she wears in Endgame that sticks out so much that it had to be remade, so for simplicity's sake, I used what you see here. Next up is Rocket Raccoon, who I made no updates to because, like I said, some of these figures were just so good out of the box, it's hard to update them. But Rocket's a great character, and he looks super awesome. So starting up top, I used the hair and head from Aquaman from the latest version of the DC sets, because I really like the big thick beard on this figure, and the long hair works really well. I wish that the beard could be a little bit thicker, but because the hair comes down on the torso, there's no way to use this hairpiece and a thicker beard. So that said, moving down, the torso I used is the fat farmer guy from the Lego Batman / DC sets. And the thing about that is when we see Thor for the first time in Endgame after having killed Thanos, when we see him in New Asgard, he's actually shirtless. But there are no tan-colored shirtless torsos that represent like a fat guy. There's lots of muscular ones, but to have like a fat torso, that piece doesn't exist as of this video. So I went with the next best thing because I like that this shirt has all kinds of grease stains on it, and of course the man boobs really show that this is a pretty fat character. While we're at the torso, I gave him a little can here, which you can see there's the little can piece on top there, and this could be a Coca-Cola, or if you're feeling a little bit more like Thor, it could be a beer. Moving down, the only other thing I used is a pair of dark blue legs, and when you put all that together, you've got my version of Fat Thor. And here we're looking at Korg and Meek from the new Asgard scene where they're hanging out with Thor, playing video games, eating pizza, and maybe enjoying an alcoholic beverage or two. But in any case, to build Meek, you'll need the head from one of the Sicarian guards from the Thor Ragnarok Arena battle set, just because I like that purple head. Then a 1x1 magenta stud with a 1x1 cheese wedge here to kind of make it look like Meek's bean-shaped body as best as you can. Then you'll need the body from one of the bots, like the Nano guys from the Nexo Knights series, preferably with gray shoulders, but if you can't get that, then, you can use any color and just pretend. And then I gave him a little slice of pizza in his hand there to complete the look. Hopping over to Korg, you'll need the face from Stone Clay from Nexo Knights, which is a very, very rare piece to get, but that's the head that's going to work here. Then you'll need some blue spiky hair that matches that, some blue arms. You'll need these barista legs from the Lego Collectible Minifigure series. Then I used this flower torso from a guy from the Lego City series, so you can see it's a torso flipped around, but that figure has come in a few different places. And then you'll see that he's got a little Nintendo controller in his hand here, and while I know that's not an official Lego piece, I can't find my Lego controller, like the little piece that came from the Collectible Minifigure series, and I had this custom piece lying around, so that's what I used here. Now, the Professor Hulk twist in Endgame was really interesting, and I love the way that it played out, so I wanted to go ahead and build him as a minifigure. So the legs are just some gray legs, just pretty simple. I thought that they were nice, casual-looking legs. The torso is from Bruce Banner from Infinity War, as well as from Thor Ragnarok, and then the arms and the face are from the Rockstar Frankenstein figure from the Lego Collectible Minifigure series. What I like about that is that you've got the green hands here at the bottom with black sleeves that match the shirt. The only thing is you'll have to use the eraser method right around the wrists here to get rid of some detailing there. You can see a faint little bit that I couldn't quite get off of the arm there, but I figured I'd leave it so that you know roughly what it used to look like. Then, of course, the face, like I said, is from Frankenstein, and the reason I went with this over the Hulk Polybag figure is because the Polybag Hulk figure is just so mean and angry looking. You can see what he looks like on both sides here, and I just thought the Professor Hulk looked a little bit more, I don't know, civil. So I wanted to keep him looking friendly and nice, and this is what I came up with. The only other thing you'll need is some black hair, which I pulled from Robin from the Lego DC sets, but there's lots of places you can get that. So Cassie Lang showing up in Endgame was a really emotional scene. Obviously 5 years had passed, so now Cassie is a little older than the last time we saw her, and she's played by a new actress, so I wanted to go ahead and show you how to make her older version here. She's about 15 in the movies now, give or take some, so, she's definitely aged up a bit, and if you remember my previous Cassie Lang figure, I used the same torso from that figure, which of course is Hermione from Lego Harry Potter Lego Dimensions sets. Now, coincidentally, the face and the hair that I used are also from Hermione from Harry Potter, but from the Collectible Minifigure series, and then you've just got to make sure that there are some dark blue legs on there for some teenage-style jeans, and you'll have older Cassie Lang from Avengers Endgame. And here we've got Hawkeye's family, and I'm really proud of these ones. They really look accurate to how they did in Endgame. Of course, we've got his wife right here. We've got Nathaniel, Cooper, and Lila over here. So, these figures turned out really great. Sadly, they got dusted in the movie, so we don't really see them, but I'm kidding, guys. But anyways, we'll move on with this showcase. Before I start breaking down this figure, I do want to give a disclosure that this isn't 100% purist. So I'll start with the beard here and kind of explain what I did. So I used the Santa Claus beard, but I took a yellow Sharpie and just kind of colored over it yellow so that it would match the traditional Thor hair that we're used to seeing on pretty much all of the Thor figures up until Ragnarok. So once you did that, you do have to take this hairpiece off, and you can see where there's a little bit of edge that I trimmed off of there. I just used some little scissors like this and just trimmed off a little bit off at the side there so that the hairpiece can sit in, and you can see how perfectly the beard fits into the side of the hair now. So that's what I did for the beard. I thought that big unkept beard looked pretty good. And then underneath that, I used the Coulson head because he's got those big sunglasses on, which Thor's wearing in Endgame. And then, of course, like I said, the hair is just the traditional, Thor hair from before Ragnarok. So then moving down, this torso is from several LEGO City sets, but I love it because it's got this Hawaiian shirt, and while it's not 100% like what Thor had in Endgame, I like that it's kind of got a little bit of a beer gut or a dad gut going on underneath, so that was pretty fun. And then I just made it with a little Coke can. Of course it doesn't say Coke, but we can pretend. And then he's got black legs to round out the figure. So the legs and torso are from Black Widow from Age of Ultron and from Civil War. And then if you turn her on the side here, you can see that these arms are from Flynn from the Lego Tron Legacy pack. And then the hands are not purist, but I just like to throw in a little flavor every once in a while. And these are from a place called Brick Arms, and these are for 500 First Clone Troopers with that little blue patch on there. And I've got to be honest, guys, I cannot remember where this head is from. Is it Black Widow? I'm pretty sure it's Black Widow from Endgame, but let me know if I'm wrong. But anyways, the hair is actually from Poison Ivy from the Lego DC Girls sets. You can see that it's kind of that rubbery hair, but I really like the red braid that comes down, but you can see there's a little bit of residue left in there because I had to use the eraser method to take off some of the ivy leaves. Now, of course, her hair is red in the film, but it's also blonde. So if you put on Elsa's hair from the new LEGO Disney Collectible Minifigure Series 2, I really like that look too, but the hair on top is a little floofy, so I don't know. It's not perfect, but I do like the look. And an idea that I've seen around is that you could also take a red Sharpie if you wanted and color the top part red and just leave the bottom of this blonde. But it's not purist, so I decided not to try it because while some custom pieces are okay, I feel like that's a little over the top. So here we've got War Machine's Endgame armor, which is bulkier than usual, and the base figure underneath to get the arm printing and the leg printing that's most accurate and up to date, other than the 004 there, is the Bricktober Pack War Machine. I think that that's the most, upgraded look that looks the best. So once you put that on, then you'll need to put on the torso armor from the Batman from the BVS set, where he's battling Superman in the armored pack. Then you'll need the helmet from the Endgame War Machine, and then of course the head underneath. It's kind of hard to open by the time you put the armor on, but the head underneath is also from the Endgame War Machine or from the Bricktober pack, whichever one you have. And then of course I put the Endgame gun on there too. So that's how I bulked up the War Machine armor. Here we've got the Iron Man Mark 85 armor, and the only addition that I made here is swapping out the regular gold arms for these chrome gold arms, which of course come from the gold chrome keychain figure that you can get at the LEGO store or on the LEGO website. So I think that that's a really nice addition to give you some gold reflectiveness to those arms, and I think it's a really great way to build this figure. Alright, so here we have Captain America in his quantum suit, and I ended up giving him Mjolnir in the suitcase from the end of the movie because I felt like that was the best way to round this all into one. So of course, this is just Mjolnir from any old Thor figure, and then a gray suitcase, and then the head underneath the helmet is from Sam Flynn from the Lego Tron set. And here we've got Thor in his quantum suit, and the only thing that you'll need to change is actually the head. I used the Aquaman head for mine just because I like that thicker, scruffier beard for Fat Thor, but truthfully, the head that's on the regular Thor could work too. I just wanted to give you some kind of update here. So here we have Rocket Raccoon, who's kind of the outlier when it comes to these figures because you're not actually able to get one of the helmets that I showed you on him. There's no way to put a helmet on top of Rocket's molded head, so sadly you just have to use your imagination, but he's got the tail, the torso, and the head from Avengers Endgame, and the feet are from any of the 3 Powerpuff Girls figures from either LEGO Dimensions or from the Powerpuff Girls line of sets. Here we have Quantum Realm Ant-Man, and there's really no update here other than the arms and hands, so this is a pretty easy one because Ant-Man actually didn't get one of the helmets, like the white helmets in the movie. He actually just used his regular old helmet, so pretty easy upgrade here. Next up is Professor Hulk, and the only upgrade you need to make here is using the head from the Rockstar Frankenstein figure that we've used so many times for Professor Hulk figures so far, and you just put that on a Quantum Realm suit with the upgrades being made, and you'll have Quantum Realm Hulk. For Quantum Realm War Machine, the only thing I changed on him is giving him the white helmet from the Space Iron Man suit from the Avengers Jet vs. Thanos set from a few years back, because War Machine does pretty much keep his same look. It's a little bulkier, I will say, but I didn't have an armor piece that would fit over that would work in my collection, so I kept it as is. I'm sure there's some bulk armor you could put on the torso, but in any case, it's pretty much exactly the same, except for, of course, the arm upgrades and then that white helmet. For Hawkeye, everything's the same except for the arm upgrades. I kept the same accessories, put the helmet on, of course, but the head is from Age of Ultron Hawkeye, because I think that's the most accurate head we've got that looks like Jeremy Renner. And then, of course, you can see I gave him a baseball mitt here from the collectible minifigure series, because you'll remember in the movie, Hawkeye is the one that goes back in time to test if the time travel will work, and he brings back a baseball mitt that his kids were playing with back on the farm. So I thought that that was a cool little callback, so I gave him a baseball mitt. Here we've got Nebula, who's exactly the same as the regular figure, just with the upgraded arms and the upgraded helmet. Here's Tony, and he's exactly the same, except for the head. And the only reason the head's different is I have so many original Avengers Iron Man heads laying around, I just grabbed one and threw it on there. But you can realistically use any Tony Stark head for this figure. And then, of course, we have Black Widow, who's exactly the same, except for the helmet and the arm upgrade. Okay, so here we've got 2012 Cap, and this is a really fun figure, because while this suit kind of got laughed at back in the day, they kind of poked fun at it in this movie a little bit, and they made it look a little cooler by removing the mask. So, basically, we're looking at the 2012 version here, and then the head that I put on there has the regular Captain America hair that comes on Star-Lord as well, but then the head is from Sam Flynn from the Tron set. So you basically just pop that head on there, and that's the, 2018, 2019 version of Steve. Well, I guess it's 2023 by the time they travel back in time, but you know what I'm saying. And then for the 2012 version of Cap, I used the 2012 torso, shield, and head, and the boots that I used are from the Man of Steel Superman. So I think that those look really good because you get those somewhat swashbucklery red boots there, and it makes for a really nice cap from 2012. Here we've got Tony Stark in his shield soldier disguise, and I absolutely love the way that this figure turned out. So I used the Tony Stark head from Iron Man 3 just because I like that smirk that he has going on. I used one of the more modern police helmets with a clear visor there because, you know, he did have that in the movie for a little disguise. The torso and legs are from the ACU troopers from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And then I used the same arms, except this arm is from the Lego Batman movie accessory pack of a police officer, just to give him a little flair on the arm. And then I gave him a gray suitcase for you to put the Infinity Stone in, that is, if you were to keep the Tesseract in hand. Here we've got the Mark 7 Iron Man armor, and I didn't make any updates up to it because it's exactly the same way it looked back in 2012. So this came out with the 2012 Avengers sets, and I figured if it looked so good before, no need to update. And here we've got Ant-Man in his full figure size and in his micro figure size. So of course the micro figure is just the one from Captain America Civil War, pretty impossible to update those. And then the figure itself has the legs and torso from Ant-Man and the Wasp, the helmet from Avengers Endgame, the quantum version of Ant-Man. The head underneath is Poe Dameron because I think it looks a lot like Paul Rudd. And then the arms are actually from the collectible minifigure series Surfer Guy, because there really aren't a lot of ton of black arms with printing on them, much less red printing. So the red printing on this looks pretty good, and I like the way it looks, and it makes for a really accurate Ant-Man from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and of course from Avengers Endgame. And here we have all of our 2012 Hulk variants. So this is the real Hulk Big Fig from 2012 with the first wave of Avengers sets, and he's meant to represent, well, the actual 2012 Hulk. Over here, we have the future Hulk, which is the one that we're following in Endgame, and he's got the blue shorts on and everything, and that's fine, but I also wanted to show you my minifigure scale Hulk, too, for what it's worth, and these two are basically like the Hulk that we follow back in time, the one that went to visit the Ancient One, so on and so forth. So, this Hulk is just made using the Frankenstein's Monster Rockstar head from the Lego Collectible Minifigure series, some black swirled back hair like that, and then the torso and legs from the 2015 Age of Ultron Polybag Hulk. So, I know a lot of you guys don't really care for the minifig-sized Hulk. I like it personally, but I'm just giving options for those of you that like having options. Now here we've got the Ancient One who Hulk goes to visit at the Sanctum Sanctorum to get the Time Stone, and this figure is just the regular old Ancient One figure from the Doctor Strange set from a few years back. Here we've got Agent Sitwell from the scene on the elevator, which was pretty fun because, you know, Cap says Hail Hydra and all of that fun stuff. But anyways, to build this figure, you'll need Agent Coulson's torso and legs for that Secret Agent Shield look, and then the hands and head from Franklin from Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. Here we've got Brock Rumlow, who later in the MCU will go on to become Crossbones, but right now he's just a secret agent for S.H.I.E.L.D. on the elevator. To build this figure, I used the Winter Soldier's torso from Captain America Civil War, switching his robotic arm out for a black arm. I used these Technician legs from the Star Wars series just because I like that black baggy legged look. I used Tony Stark's spiky hair, and then I used the Winter Soldier's face to round out this figure. Here we've got Alexander Pierce, who made a fun surprise appearance in the movie, and once again I used the Agent Coulson legs and torso. I used an old Luke Skywalker head because I like the lines on the side of the face. It definitely makes him look a little bit younger than Robert Redford actually is, but I think it works well, and then I used the Captain America hair on the way back. Now, if I'm being totally honest, I actually think that the head that I used for Captain America is better for Robert Redford, but I already used it for Cap, so I didn't want to use it twice, especially on two figures that appear in the same segment of the same movie. So here we've got 2012 Loki, and what I did with this figure is I used the regular face, the torso, and legs from 2012 Loki that we got with the first wave of Avengers sets. I gave him some black arms though, I kept the cape, and then I took his staff, so this isn't purist, but I put this little bead gem thing in there. I took a pair of scissors, and you can see that I cut this arm shorter than this arm. This arm was left the same, this one was cut down, and then I cut just a little bit of length off the bottom to make it a little more scaled to the way we see it in the movie. Then I gave him the black hair that Loki has in Thor Ragnarok, and then for a nice final little touch, I gave him this breathing apparatus to serve as the thing that they put on Loki that makes him unable to talk, because I thought that was a nice little detail, especially since that's so significant to his costume in his couple seconds of fame in Endgame. Here we've got 2012 Thor, who's exactly the same as he came in the sets back in the day, with one addition, and that addition is using the legs from the Lego Batman movie accessory pack. Man, is that a lot of words to say. But he's got the blue on top, blue on top, black boots on bottom, and then I used the eraser method to take off what little printing these legs had coming straight out of that pack. And here we've got 2012 Hawkeye, and how I built this version of Hawkeye is I used the hair and the head from the Hawkeye that came from Age of Ultron, because I think that that's the most accurate Jeremy Renner head that we've got to date, and then the torso, bow, and legs are all from the 2012 version of Hawkeye. In following suit, we've got 2012 Black Widow, and the only thing that I changed here was the face, because the face from 2012 Black Widow honestly looked kind of weird. I really don't know what they were going for with that figure, but in any case, this head is from the Civil War and/or Age of Ultron version of Black Widow. So up top here, this hat is from one of the Rebel Troopers from the Star Wars sets. Now, I think he was one of the, engineers or something working on a ship, but you guys can drop a comment below and let me know where that hat came from for sure. The head, of course, is from Phil Coulson, because you'll remember that Steve Rogers has some really slick-looking aviator sunglasses on, so this head works perfect for Steve Undercover. Then moving down, the torso is from the Green Army Men Toy Story minifigures, but I had to pop on some tan hands there because, of course, he doesn't have green hands. But speaking of his hands, check this out, guys. You can see that I put a Pym particle in his hand, basically like a vial of Pym particles. And what's really cool about that is I took a pair of wire cutters, just like these here, and I took a missile, like you'll see in the big, Star Wars ships or whatever, and I just clipped this right on the end there, specifically on this end, and I made a little vial of Pym particles. So, is it purist? Well, it's a real Lego part, but you do have to destroy a Lego part. So, in any case, I think it looks really good, and that was the whole reason that Steve went back to the base in the first place, so I thought it was cool to give him the Pym particle. Then the only other thing you'll need is a pair of khaki pants for him, and that will round out this version of Steve Rogers. So here we've got Tony Stark in his Howard Potts disguise from the 1970 mission, and what we've got going on here is just some spiky hair for Tony. I really like the way that that works. Of course, the face that you're seeing here is Tony from Iron Man 3, but realistically, it can be any version of Tony. Doesn't really matter. The torso is from some of the Lego City sets, from some of the Monster Hunter sets. It's just more important that you get this, like, kind of vest thing going on than it is which vest you use. This is just the one I had most accessible, and plus, having the little timepiece in the pocket there is a nice little nod to the fact that they've traveled back in time. Then, of course, he's got khaki legs here, and I gave him the Tesseract since that's the whole reason he went back to 1970 in the first place. To build this figure, you'll need the hair from the newest versions of Han Solo. You'll need this face from one of the First Order troopers, which those faces are everywhere, so it won't be hard to find. And then the torso and the legs are from Phil Coulson from the Lego Marvel line of sets. Now, you'll see that I also gave him the comic-accurate helmet, which made a brief cameo Easter egg appearance in the Endgame. And to build that, I just used a standard race car driver helmet from Lego, and then I took a pair of the goggles, just standard Lego goggles, and I used some, like, white clay tack there, and then I painted all of that silver. But I also took one of these pieces, which you see me use as my pointer in these videos. I cut the top off, and then I super glued that there, and then I spray painted the whole thing silver. So that's my young Hank Pym in Lego form. Here we've got Peggy Carter from the travel mission back in time to go to the 70s. And of course, I wanted to give her like a militaristic look while also retaining that Peggy Carter likeness. So for the head and hair, I used Scarlet Witch's head and hair from Avengers Age of Ultron. Moving down the torso, I wanted it to look militaristic, like I said, so I used the torso from the Green Army Men minifigure from Toy Story from a few years back, but I popped off the green hands and put on some tan hands, which of course you can get from Scarlet Witch. And speaking of Scarlet Witch, the skirt legs are also from that same Age of Ultron character. Here we have Howard Stark, and this figure was a lot of fun to put together. He's got brown legs, as you can see. The torso from J. Jonah Jameson from the old Spider-Man sets, but truthfully, guys, any kind of vest-torso combo will work here. I just like what this looked like. The head and hair are from Percival Graves from the Lego Harry Potter collectible minifigure series. And while he's a pretty rare figure, and of course he does have that kind of strange eye here, I do like that white mustache and the hair combo, so it all evens out, and I like the way it makes Howard Stark look. Here we've got Edwin Jarvis, who of course is Howard Stark's driver at the Endgame portion of the movie. And something interesting is, he's the first MCU character to debut on TV and then make the jump over to the cinema side. So, you know, there have been movie characters that show up in the TV shows, but he's the first TV character to show up in a movie. Just a little fun fact for you. So the legs and torso are from Lex Luthor from the Lego DC line of sets. The head, of course, is Bruce Banner, and then I gave him this flat top brown hair to round it out. So, you know, this is a pretty basic figure, but I like the way that it turned out. Here we've got Thor from the mission back to Asgard, so he's still Fat Thor, or Bro Thor, as we recently found out Marvel calls him. But in any case, to build this, you'll just need some blue legs here, so he's wearing jeans. You'll need Macy's torso from Lego Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. The head, of course, is from Thor, and the hair and the beard, as you've seen earlier in the video, are from the previous versions of Thor, and then this colored Santa beard. I used the head from Loki from Ragnarok. I used the hair from Tasu Leech from the Lego Star Wars Force Awakens Millennium Falcon. I used the dark green skinny cape. You'll notice it's skinnier here as opposed to some of the spongy capes we get these days. But the skinny cape is from the Mandarin from the Iron Man 3 sets. The torso is from Loki from the first Avengers film. I've just put some dark green arms on him with some tan hands to add some green accents to Loki. And then the legs are from Aquaman from the Justice League sets. So I really like having all of those dark green accents for Loki, and I think that it makes a really accurate look for Thor the Dark World. So let's move on to our next figure. Next up, we've got Jane Foster in her Asgardian attire. As you'll remember, Jane Foster gets kind of like, I guess, possessed or something by the ether, and they take her to Asgard to work on her, so that's what I represented here. So the hair is from Scarlet Witch from Captain America Civil War. It's that nice long flowing hair that looks like Natalie Portman's in Thor the Dark World. The face, speaking of Natalie Portman, is Padme from Star Wars Attack of the Clones. My philosophy is, if a character or actor or actress already exists in another Lego property, we might as well use them because nobody's going to look more like Natalie Portman than Natalie Portman. So that's Padme's face. And then the torso, this arm, and the dress part are actually from Dumbledore from from the Harry Potter collectible minifigure series. I think it works really well for Jane's Asgardian dress, but the only thing you'll want to do is pull off this arm and add a tan arm there because she doesn't have a sleeve on that arm. So with that, you'll have Jane from Thor the Dark World, and I really like the way that figure turned out. So in any case, to build Frigga, you'll need the torso and the legs from one of the Harry Potter collectible minifigure professors. The arms are from one of the Atlantis guards, once again from the Justice League sets. And the head and the hair is from General Leia from Star Wars The Force Awakens. If you put all that together, I think you actually get a really accurate Frigga as far as using the purist method is concerned, and it gets 2 thumbs up from me. I used the hood from Darth Maul, and I actually used the torso and legs from Darth Maul as well, with the classic Red Skull head, and then I used this ripped up cape, and that cape comes from Corvus Glaive from the Avengers Infinity War sets. So the hair and the head are honestly from any Gamora that have ever come out. Now, the original Guardians of the Galaxy 2014 Gamora has like a smile on her face, and there's some differences there, but it doesn't really matter which one you use. Whatever one you have or whichever you like best works just fine. Now, moving down, you'll need some green arms for Gamora. Now, these green arms have come in lots of places before, so you can get those from really anywhere, honestly, that have had these green arms. You'll want to make sure that they match the same color as the head, though. That's just one little stipulation there. Then, the torso, of course, is from Agent 13, aka Sharon Carter from Captain America Civil War. I think that this is the closest we can get to that kind of like black jumpsuit that Gamora has on, so that's what I used there. And then the legs are from Civil War Hawkeye. Of course, when we get 2014 Gamora, that also means we get 2014 Nebula. So to build 2014 Nebula, I used the torso from the first Guardians of the Galaxy wave of sets with the same arms and hands and all that. I used the legs from Catwoman from the Lego Batman movie sets, and then I used the head from the Endgame Nebula because I think it's the most accurate Nebula face we've gotten to date. So at the end of Endgame, Hulk has like a jumpsuit on, and it's mostly black with purple detailing, so it was pretty tough to find pieces that match, but here at Mini Superheroes Today, we always find a way. So what I did here is I used some flat black hair from many of the DC Robin figures that have come out over the years. The head and hands are from the Frankenstein monster Rockstar guy from the Lego collectible minifigure series. The torso is Civil War Hawkeye. The arms are from Catwoman from Lego Batman movie. I really like those purple arms with the nice accenting on there. And then the legs are from the Hulk Age of Ultron polybag from 2015 that came out years and years ago, but they look really good, and it lets you have some feet that match Hulk's hands and his head in this case. So here we've got Steve Rogers from the final battle, which of course means he's got to have a damaged shield and Mjolnir. So of course, I just used any of the regular old Mjolnirs from the old Thors. Doesn't really matter which one because they're all the same. The legs are from Newt Scamander from the Lego Harry Potter collectible minifigure series, but you'll have to use the eraser method to take off some of the detailed printing on the legs. Then the torso is from Captain America from the Infinity War sets, because when you do that, he's got the blacked out star and his suit just looks a little bit more battle damaged. Then I gave him the arms from Captain America from either Civil War or Age of Ultron to kind of give him that completed suit look. Speaking of Civil War and Age of Ultron, that's where the head's from, and then the actual cap piece, the cowl, if you will, is from the Endgame sets. Now, to build the shield, what I did is I actually used a pair of wire cutters, and as you can see, I just destroyed the shield. Now, I will say I did have a knockoff shield, so I didn't destroy a real Lego one, but then what I did is I took a knife and I just cut some cuts in it to make it look like it's been through some serious battle, and that's how I built this version of Cap, which I really like the way that it turned out. Here we've got Thor, or Viking Thor, from the final battle, which I love the way that this character turned out. So, to build this, we're basically just using the same design as the other Thors that I've done, where you get the legs from the Tron Legacy set. The torso is from Thor from Infinity War. You've got to get some gunmetal gray arms on him to make him look armored up there. Then you use the design for Stormbreaker that I always use. You'll add Mjolnir. You'll use a white Santa Claus beard, but you'll need to take a yellow Sharpie and color it yellow, because as of this video, we've never actually had a yellow beard piece like this. Then underneath, of course, I made him angry and the god of thunder and lightning that he is, and I gave him the lightning eyes from Thor Ragnarok or from Infinity War. And then the hair, of course, is just the long Thor hair from the sets from way back when. And then, of course, the cape cape is from the new Jafar figure from the Lego Disney Collectible Minifigure Series 2. And what's great about that is it's a pretty accessible cape because you could go and buy it in stores right now. Granted, you'll have to feel out and pick out the right pack. But you've got black on the back and then you've got red on the front. Well, I guess it depends which way you put it on the figure and what you consider back to front. But you get what I'm saying, and that is how you build Thor from this segment. So the legs, torso, and helmet are all from the regular Iron Patriot. Nothing's changed there, you know, it's pretty similar, so we should leave it like that. But the shoulder piece here is from the Space Police Space Cop guy from the Lego Collectible Minifigure series, which is an awesome minifigure. In fact, that was my first collectible minifigure series purchase ever. I got him, and that was pretty cool. But I added a 1x1 round stud to the front there, and when you flip that around, I also kind of made a little different contraption here. So I took two War Machine figures. So this is the back piece with the, hole for the clip. Then there's another clip that goes this way, and then I used the telescope and red stud technique that was used on the Infinity War Bricktober Pack War Machine, and I put those together to build this figure. The only other thing is when you pull this helmet off, I used the head from Rhodey from the Bricktober pack and from Endgame, which of course on the back it has his computer screen face too. So all in all, this is a really cool custom and I'm happy with the way it turned out, and hopefully you guys are. So Captain Marvel gets a new suit in Avengers Endgame. Now it's not like a game changer, no pun intended, but it is a cool new suit, and of course she's got shorter hair. So let's start at the bottom this time just to change things up, and we'll work our way to the top and show you how to build this figure using 100% official Lego pieces. So starting with the legs, I used blue hips, but the legs themselves are from the Arctic Explorer Lego Collectible Minifigure Series figure. I really like that you've got the dark blue on the bottom and red on top to accent the rest of the suit, and I think it's a really great look. Like I said, there's some blue hips, then the torso and head are the same as the Captain Marvel Lego set version and the one from the Avengers Endgame Avengers Compound Battle set. Then I gave her the hair from Captain America or Star-Lord, and I gave her gold arms, which come on Iron Man, but gold arms have come in lots of places. Now, I do want to say that I'm sure people are going to comment, hey, why didn't you use the Iron Spider arms? Which I really do like those, but I used those arms on my regular Captain Marvel upgrade from her movie, so I didn't want to use those arms twice. I wanted to give you guys some different options, so you could use the Iron Spider arms, yes, but I love giving you guys options, so I went with the gold this time to do exactly that. Then I made sure she had red gloves to match the rest of the suit, and that really rounds out the figure. So it's a really simple figure to build, and I did want to throw out that, of course, with this short hair, there are lots of options. So you could use, like, the dog trainer hair or something like that, but let me know which hair you like. And, of course, Giant Man makes a giant splash appearance in the final battle, and the Giant Man figure is so big he doesn't even fit in my entire frame here. So you can see what he looks like here. This is from the Civil War Airport battle set. He's got some mobility at the legs here. The arms have 360 pivot joints that move, and the hands move side to side like that. You can actually fit a minifigure inside his hands too if you put their arms up and make sure their legs are nice and straight. You can see that he can hold a minifigure like that. And then you can see that the mouthpiece comes down, the head turns 360. Not that you'd want to do that because it'd snap his neck, but there's lots of stickers on it, and it's a really, really great brick-built giant figure. So that's what I would recommend using for Giant Man from Endgame. Anyways, this torso and leg pair are from Star Wars, I believe, from the Old Republic, but I honestly don't remember where I got these from. I've got so many figures in my collection, guys, it is hard to remember where everything came from, so I'm going to depend on one of my amazing subscribers to drop it in the comments below. But anyways, I used that pair from Star Wars, I used the cape and then the head from Valkyrie from Thor Ragnarok that we just saw. I threw some light gray arms on there and then some hands to match the head, and then I used Wonder Woman's hair because you'll remember in this scene, Valkyrie let her hair down. Actually, quite literally. And for this section of the video, we're coming in on your left because now we're getting into the Avengers who were brought back when Hulk was able to reverse the snap. So of course, it makes sense that we start with Falcon. So to build Falcon, I used the Infinity War head, hair, and torso because, well, that's the most accurate to the version that we saw in Endgame. I used the Civil War wings because personally, I always like those wings best. I know that they made bulkier wings and things like that, and you do have options, but again, just my personal preference is to use these skinny ones from Civil War. Then you'll need black hands put onto these arms from the Lego Batman movie version of Barbara Gordon, because I really like those short sleeves, and while the skin color doesn't exactly match, it's the closest to what's available as of making this video. The only other thing you'll need to make the version of Falcon from the final battle are the legs from the Spy from the Lego Collectible Minifigure series. Okay, so next up we have the upgraded Black Panther suit, but in any case, this is the torso from the Black Panther film as well as from Infinity War, and then it's the head that goes with that exact torso that shows the eyes there. But then, as you can imagine, I pulled the headpiece with the silver lines on there, and then I used the same General Zod Man of Steel legs and the same General Zod collectible minifigure series 2 arms. So I'm sure you can see that there's a theme going on here, but I think that those pieces really complement the Black Panther upgrades the best, so I always try to use them when I can. Next up, we've got Okoye, and I love the way that this figure turned out. So I gave her a black spear, as you can see, and then I used the head from Okoye from the Black Panther sets, but I actually put her on the body of Nakia because she actually has a red uniform on in Infinity War, so it actually matches better if you change out that torso. But anyways, you can see I put a little skirt on here, and I believe that that came from the Star Wars series of sets, but I gotta be honest, guys, I'm not 100% sure. I've moved all these pieces around so much that sometimes I forget where they came from, but I'm sure you guys can let me know where that's from. I'm like 99% sure it's from one of the clone commanders from Star Wars. In fact, I'm 99% sure it's this guy himself, but like I said, I've torn this stuff apart so many times I just can't hardly remember anymore. But anyways, the only other thing left are the legs, which I really like here because you've got this nice detail right on the hips with these little silver squares there. And then the black legs with the red shin pads, or knee pads, I guess, really accent that red torso well. So those are from the Castle series of sets from like 2012, 2013, right around that era. But all in all, it's a really, really great looking figure, and I love the way that it turned out. Next up is the lovable M'Baku. So for M'Baku, I used the legs from Episode 2 Anakin Skywalker. I used the torso from Ronin from Guardians of the Galaxy. I just used some brown arms and hands. I used this spear from the Lego Collectible Minifigure series. I used this neck fur, I guess would be the word for it, from Kraven the Hunter from the Spider-Man sets. And then the head and the hair are both from Mr. T's character from the A-Team. And the A-Team figure came in the Lego Dimensions series. So all in all, it's a really cool looking figure that looks a lot like M'Baku, and I'm very, very happy with the way that this one turned out. Next up, we've got Shuri, and man, everybody loves Shuri, right? She's great. She's kind of like Raymond. Everybody loves Raymond. But anyways, with Shuri, I actually used almost 100% of the official Infinity War figure. The only thing that I added was this skirt from Marge Simpson from the Lego Collectible Minifigure Series 2 of The Simpsons. So yeah, Marge Simpson's skirt here with the rest from Shuri, and it makes for a really good looking figure. So thumbs up for this one. Next up, we've got the White Wolf, aka Bucky Barnes, aka the former Winter Soldier. So this figure is exactly the same as the Bricktober pack, as I've mentioned the Bricktober figures would be. But in any case, he's got a really nice torso print here, some great dual molded legs with green up top, black on bottom. He's got a great robotic arm here with gold printing on it that just looks fantastic. On the front of his head here, he's got a determined look, and on this side, he's got like an angry fighting face. But all in all, it's a really great looking figure from a really great character from the MCU. Next up is Doctor Strange. So I used the legs, torso, head, and hair from the Infinity War Doctor Strange. I used the cloak from the Doctor Strange set from his movie because I like the thin papery capes compared to the spongy capes. You could probably make memes about how much I hate those spongy capes, so anytime I can use these papery capes, I do just that. Around his neck here, I used one of the collectible minifigure series Olympic medals for his Eye of Agamotto. And then turning him on the side here for the sleeves, I used the sleeves from the collectible minifigure series Sailor, which I think looked really, really cool. So all in all, that's Doctor Strange. Next up, we've got Wong from the Bricktober pack, and once again, no updates here because it's just such a great looking figure. I love that they did printing on both sides of the legs. That's just above and beyond, super cool. And it really does look like Wong from the movie, so this is definitely one of my favorite figures from that Bricktober pack. So once again, these are the legs from the Electro Poly bag. the hips from Civil War Hawkeye, and then the torso, head, and hair are from Infinity War Falcon. I think that those look really good, and plus when you turn him around, he's got this nice little smirk there, looks a lot like Anthony Mackie. Now, for the wings, you do have multiple options here. Of course, there's the wings from Infinity War that look like this, but they were just a little bulky in my opinion. They look good, but I really prefer the wings from Civil War for some reason. I really like the thinner look. I think that it looks a little more Falconish, I guess. I don't know. I've just always been really impartial to these wings and the way they look, but taking off that giant red wing that was on the back. So that's what I used for the wings. And then for the arms, I used the arms from Barbara Gordon from the Lego Batman movie. So I really like the way that it looks. Falcon's an awesome character, and I really love the way that this custom turned out. Next up is Scarlet Witch. Now, the torso, arms, the little skirt thing on the side here, and the head are all from the Civil War version, but the hair is from Agent 13 from Captain America Civil War, and then the legs are from one of the Imperial, like, engineer people or Death Star troopers or something like that from Star Wars, because I really like the way that the legs look with just the little bit of bagginess going on there. I think it's a really good look for this character, and I really love the way that it turned out. Now, I will say there's one extra addition you can do, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit to show you, but the Star-Lord that I always use has the arms from the Rocket Raccoon poly bag from Toys R Us, and that poly bag's pretty rare these days, but if you pop these arms off here and put them on there, it looks really good on this figure, on Iron Man, basically anybody with like a, you know, dark red torso. But the only reason I didn't do it here is, you guys may or may not know this, but the more you pop the arms off of figures, you actually make the torsos a little weak if you do it super, super often. So I just want to show you here, and you can use your imagination because I hate to break my figures for it. Here we've got the Iron Spider, which I absolutely love this suit and this armor. I just needed to interject and put that in there. But to build this figure, I did make a couple small little updates. I used the same torso, arms, and back arms from the regular Iron Spider from Avengers Infinity War, but what I changed were I added the Spider-Man legs from the Spider-Man suit that comes with the Far From Home sets, or even the Homecoming sets, just because I really like the red boots on bottom. And if you look at the Iron Spider suits, for some reason they made them all red legs with blue printing, so at least if you do the dual molded legs here, they look a little better. And then the head that I used is from the new comic version of Spider-Man that are in the most recent sets as of this video. So it's a really simple upgrade, and I like it a lot, so that's what I did here. Now here we've got Pepper Potts suited up as Rescue. So to build this figure, you do need a lot of pieces, so pay close attention. The legs are from the Man of Steel version of Superman. The torso is from the Lego Tron set, but flipped around so that you get the circle up front here. Then the arms are from Rex Danger Vest from the Lego Movie 2, aka me. If you're not in on that joke, you should poke around to my channel a little more. But anyways, basically I look exactly like Rex in real life. Anyways, those arms are from the space version of Rex from Emmett and Lucy's Dream House. Then you'll need some gold hands. Then the helmet, of course, is from the Iron Legion figures. And then underneath, we've got Pepper Potts' head. So, pretty simple to build, but a lot of pieces are needed for this one. So here we have Wasp, and we're going to start off without the helmet on just to show you what's going on here, but the Wasp figure that came with the actual Lego set is actually kind of disappointing, so there's definitely some upgrades going on here. Now, what I did, of course, is I used the regular Wasp torso, but that's about it from the original figure. In addition to that torso, the legs, of course, are from Aisha from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The wrist things here are just the cut-up handcuffs, the old handcuff trick where you cut off the handcuff and just put the cuff back on. Then she's got blue arms and everything, so I suppose that's still from the regular Wasp, but the face is from Tina Goldstein from Lego Dimensions. Then the hair is from Rey from Star Wars The Force Awakens, but you'll need to take wire cutters or a clip or something and get rid of the third bun, because then these wings from Beetle from the Spider-Man sets won't fit on. But I think that looks a lot like Evangeline Lilly when you take all that off, and then you could just put the Wasp helmet on her there, and that's what she looks like with the helmet. Now, I know there's a lot of people that don't really care for this helmet, and I definitely think it could be better, but that said, as of this video, there aren't any Lego pieces that are better than this one, so I'm going to keep using it anyways. Here we've got Star-Lord from the final battle, which is a really, really great look, and to build this figure, you will need the head and hair from Owen Grady from any of the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom sets. Then you'll need the torso from Star-Lord from either Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 or Infinity War, because they're exactly the same. One extra little upgrade you can make here is using these arms, of course, which were previously mentioned in this video, but you can use the arms from the Rocket Raccoon polybag from Toys R Us for a few years ago to get some extra detail there. You'll need Star-Lord's guns, of course, and then the legs that I put on there are from Lucy from the Lego Movie 2, just the Lego Movie 2. I was going to say Lego Batman for some reason because they used to date, but anyways, Lego Lucy from the Lego Movie 2 are really nice because you've got brown pants on top, black boots on bottom, and then some great accessory printing on those legs to round out the figure. So here we've got Drax from the final battle, who is not invisible in this movie, but he really doesn't have much screen time. But in any case, to build this figure, you just need the Guardians of the Galaxy 2 version of Drax. As easy as it gets. Up is Groot, and Groot looks great as always, and the only update I made here, guys, was I actually gave him the legs from the horse cowboy guy from the Lego collectible minifigure series party figures, because I like these brown legs with the little accents on the feet there, because it makes Groot look like he's got some detail on his legs, and honestly, beyond that, I'm not really sure how you could make this figure any better than he already is. Next up, we've got the lovable Kraglin, who is played by Sean Gunn, aka James Gunn's brother. Pretty cool. So for this version of Kraglin, I just used the torso and legs from the full version of Star-Lord from Volume 1, and then I used the head from that version too, and then I used this spiky brown hair, which has come in many, many places over the years, but I thought that that looked pretty good. And also, kind of just to be funny, you can take the fin from the Volume 2 prototype fin and give him that post-credit scene from when he uses the arrow and he accidentally hits Drax in the chest. So if you wanted to be funny, you could do that little upgrade there too. I think that that's pretty fun, don't you? Next up is Mantis, and as my Guardians of the Galaxy figures go, she's one of my most updated. So I used the torso, head, and hair from Mantis from the regular Guardians Volume 2 sets, because it's hard to get any better than that. For the arms, I used the arms from Poison Ivy from the Lego Batman movie, but you'll see on this side, I had to use the eraser method to take off some of the printing, and you can see I left a little speck there, just as an homage to what once was there, so that's what I used. And speaking of Poison Ivy from the Lego Batman movie, I used her skirt here, but instead of making the skirt go the whole way around, I just flipped the front pieces up so that it became a skirt from the sides of the legs and didn't cover the front. And then the legs I used are from Lloyd from the Lego Ninjago movie. So yeah, Mantis is a relatively simple figure to build, but the Poison Ivy figure isn't really easy to get, but if you can get her, well, you're pretty much there. Alright, now we're moving into the Black Order section of this showcase, and we're coming in toward the end. So, up first, we've got Ebony Maw, and the only update I made to this figure was giving him a hairpiece, and I gave him this slicked back white hair, which I got from Percival Graves from the Lego Harry Potter collectible minifigure series, but this hair has come in some other places, so just keep an eye out for where you may be able to get it. Next up is Proxima Midnight, and she was a really great figure out of the box, so I only made one update, but I do want to point out, this is another figure, guys, where, you know, I left this weapon in her hand, and it cracked the torso, and it cracked her hand, so, like I said, be careful not to leave your weapons in your figure's hands too long, or else you might get damage like that. But anyways, the only update I made here are the legs, which coincidentally I used off of the new Quantum Suit Avengers. I thought that the black parts matched the white parts up top pretty well, and I just like the way that it all pulled together. Next up, we've got Corvus Glaive, and between the time of doing the Red Skull video and this one, I remembered I got the Red Skull cape from Corvus Glaive. So, anyways, I only made one update here, and I gave him the legs from the Shadow Trooper from the Star Wars series, because I really like the way that this gunmetal gray torso and legs accent each other. He's got this nice big weapon here, which of course is used to impale Vision, and overall, it's a really great looking figure straight out of the box, so it was hard to update beyond what LEGO gave us already. And for our final member of the Black Order, we've got Cull Obsidian, who's a big fig, and you guys know that big figs are hard to actually customize because the only things you can change are the arms and hands, and like... Next up, we've got one of the Outriders, who, when Infinity War came out, it's like, oh, these guys are neat, but now with the Endgame sets, we get like one or two of them with every set, and it's like, oh my god, I have too many of them. Well, to quote Bruce Banner, there's too many of them, they're all over me, ah! But anyways, they have plain black legs, this nice gold reflective torso that works really well for Wasp, actually. I used that for my Wasp comic custom. This custom head here, and then on the back, I believe this was the first time we ever saw this backpack piece. The backpack piece has these little clips that you can put the arms on, and then the arms move front to back like that. I do want to point out before I jump in that this is not 100% purist. I did some modifications here that broke some Lego pieces, so I just want to give that disclosure before we jump in. Now, the thing about Thanos is both of his versions so far haven't been super duper accurate. So this is the Endgame version back here, and then this is the Infinity War version. So in Infinity War, he barely had this armor on, and then in Endgame, I mean, this is definitely more accurate, but I wanted to build a minifigure scale version, A, for diversity, and B, so that we could try to get him just a little bit more accurate. So, starting with the head here, this is from the Umbaran Soldier from LEGO Star Wars The Clone Wars. I really like that purple head. I think that it just looks really good for the character. And then moving down, this shoulder piece, as well as the hands, which you can see the hands are purple hands, are from the Mighty Micros version of Thanos. Now, those hands are attached to bare purple arms, and I pulled those from Ursula from the LEGO Disney Collectible Minifigure series. Now, the torso and legs have this great gold armor printing detail on it, and I pulled those from the Atlantis Guard from the Justice League series of sets from that cheaper Aquaman set. Now, the hips are from the Bones armor, the Iron Man Bones armor from the Hall of Armor set from the Avengers Endgame line. And then you'll see that I gave him an Infinity Gauntlet, and I gave him this for completion standards. You know, he really doesn't have the gauntlet that much in Endgame, but I gave him it anyways, and that also comes from the Mighty Micros Thanos that I mentioned earlier. You can see on his wrists here, he's got some bands, and what I did there is I took some handcuffs from the, Lego line, just regular old Lego handcuffs, and I clipped them right at the cuff, and then I just put the cuffs there. So I took the chain out of the middle by clipping those off with some scissors, and then I put the cuffs on there just to give him some extra armor. And then here's the part that's not purist. So you can see there's some glue residue left right here, and I realized afterward that this wasn't the best choice. But anyways, these are orc swords from the LEGO line. I haven't seen these in any sets recently, but they were definitely pretty popular for a little while there. But you can see that I glued these together. So basically, this one is a full orc sword, just with the back part that kind of bends down, chopped off to make it more straight, and kind of like the butter knife weapon that Thanos has in Endgame. So I chopped both of those curved parts off of the end there, and then I took a pair of wire cutters and I cut this just like that. So I cut the entire handle off of this side and glued it to the full handle of this side. Now, in retrospect, what I realized I should have done is I should have cut both of these right in the middle, and I should have used a lightsaber handle to hold them into place with each one. That way, Thanos could have just held the lightsaber handle, and then each end of this sword would have gone into that. Unfortunately, I only had 2 of these swords, so it was do or die to get this done, so I didn't have much of an option but to roll with this once I decided to go with it, but I would definitely do the lightsaber method if I were going to do this over again. So this is a pretty simple figure to build. You're just going to need the Mark 85 armor for the torso, this arm, and this leg, of course. Then I used the head from the Iron Man Polybag Silver Centurion from GameStop, because I really like the black and blue eye, the little scar up here, it shows that he's been through battle. I used the black Superman hair, and then the big changes are I added a black arm, and I added the leg from the Bones Iron Man armor to show that his suit had been blacked out from the power of using his Infinity Gauntlet. So for this final section of the video, I'm going to start with Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne, because I'm going to show you characters that really only showed up at the funeral, right? So, like, Aunt May is another one where, yes, they were technically in Endgame, but they were only at the funeral. And I'm not going to show you, like, Steve Rogers wearing a black suit and Thor wearing a black suit, because that'd make this video, like, twice as long. So, you know, basically for the guys, you could just put them in any black suit, and then for the ladies, it's a little bit more difficult, so I'm going to try to, you know, show you some variety options, but there really aren't a lot of options for ladies in black dresses. So we're going to dive in and see what you can get here. So this suit and the legs, of course, are from Lex Luthor from the DC sets from back in 2012. And then Hank's head is Dumbledore from the LEGO Harry Potter collectible minifigure series, with Commissioner Gordon's hair from the LEGO Batman movie. Then hopping over here to Janet, I just gave her some trench coat legs, which have come in many places, like on General Hux, as well as on Nick Fury from Far From Home. Then I gave her the torso from the Cantina Band players with some tan hands, and then I used General Leia's head with some white hair to round out this figure. We've got Happy Hogan from the funeral scene at the end, and to build this figure, I used Kraven the Hunter's head, Peter Venkman's hair, Coulson's torso, and just some plain black legs. Here we've got Harley Keener from the funeral, who of course is the kid from Iron Man 3 that you'll remember, but he looks a lot more grown up, so I tried to find a face and some spiky hair that would make him look like he grew up. And the face is from episode 2 Anakin, and the hair is just like Thor's hair, or, you know, just the spiky hair you can get in a bazillion different places. Here we've got Secretary Ross from the funeral scene, and I just used a suit, as you can see, like I've used everywhere else. And then the head and hair are from J. Jonah Jameson from the Spider-Man Daily Bugle set from a few years back, because it unironically looks a lot like Secretary Ross. So if it works and it looks good, no reason to not use it. Here we've got Peter Parker and Aunt May, and for Peter Parker, I used the torso here that we're seeing more often than not for suits in LEGO sets, and I pulled this from the Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom line of sets. The head is for Marty McFly, and the hair is the newest versions of Han Solo's hair. And then for Aunt May, I used some black legs. I used the Wicked Witch of the West's torso, but flipped around because it made it look like a nice little dress variant. Again, I said I had to get creative for the ladies here. And then I used this head from the LEGO Women of NASA set, and I used this brown hair from Scarlet Witch. Next up, we've got Queen Ramonda, and this is such a cool character because she's Black Panther's mom, of course, but the trick here is that there's not really anything that looks quite like what she has in the movie. Some of these Wakanda suits are so unique that it's really hard to match purist LEGO pieces with them, but I tried my best, and here's what I was able to come up with. Now, starting at the top, Queen Ramonda has a really unique headpiece, and I wasn't able to find anything that looked like that. The closest I could get was this Newt Gunray headpiece that he wears, but of course the colors don't match, so that made it tricky. So I'm gonna leave Newt Gunray here, because you could put this head on Newt Gunray, switch the hands, and basically use that if you like that design better. So I always like to give you guys options. But in any case, the design that I went with that I personally liked a little more is this beanie cap from a snowboarder set. And then I used the head from Patty Tolan from the 2016 Ghostbusters reboot sets. I put some brown arms to match the head there. And then the torso and legs that I used are from Dumbledore from the LEGO Harry Potter collectible minifigure series. So I gave you guys two options here. Let me know which one you like better. And here we've got Falcon from the end of the movie where, of course, he's dubbed as the new Captain America. So starting with the shield, this is the Endgame shield, of course. The torso is from Indiana Jones because Falcon had a brown jacket on at that scene. The head and hands, of course, are from Falcon from Infinity War. Actually, the hands are just brown hands to match the head, but in any case, you'll need some khaki legs and then Falcon's hair, and you'll have this version of Falcon. We've got Bucky from the shield acceptance scene where Sam gets his shield at the end of the movie. And to build this, I used the head and hair from Bucky from the Bricktober pack. The torso is, as you can see, from Mutt Williams from the LEGO Indiana Jones series a while back. And then the legs are those Imperial Trooper legs I use so often. Now, you'll notice I gave him a gray hand here for his robotic arm. And just some endgame trivia for you, in the entire funeral scene and the shield acceptance scene, Bucky has his hands in his pockets so that they didn't have to CGI or put the metal arm on him for that. So, just a little fun fact for you. Here we've got Old Man Steve Rogers, who of course we see at the end of the movie, and if you wanted to be super accurate, you could actually build him a little bench to sit on too, but you know, I'm keeping the standard format here. So to build this figure, you'll just need the face from Han Solo from Star Wars The Force Awakens for that kind of old manish look with the gray eyebrows and all. Then I use the hair from Commissioner Gordon from the LEGO Batman movie. The torso is from Indiana Jones. The legs are from Star Wars, from like some of the generic Rebel Troopers and stuff that have like the khaki looks, but you could just use regular khaki pants if you wanted. And then I used the shield from Cap from Endgame because I like the way that that looked. Here, of course, we have Peggy Carter from when Steve goes back in time to live the rest of his life out with her. And the figure itself has the torso and legs from Goldie from the LEGO Harry Potter collectible minifigure series. And then, same as before, the head and hair are from Scarlet Witch from Age of Ultron. Alright guys, well what a showcase this has been. Guys, it is my honor to have this channel for you, to show you these customs. If you've made it this far, all I have to say is thank you. You've watched this video for over an hour if you've made it to this point, and I could not be more grateful. Drop a comment below, let me know what you thought of this video, and I cannot wait to see you on future videos here on my channel. Stay tuned for Spider-Man Far From Home customs coming very soon, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. So, until next time, build on.